Old guy here, and it is a gorgeous day. End of March, tell you, and if this is global warming, as I've probably stated somewhere else, please sir, I want some more. Okay, this is week 3 of the quarantine, and what have I been doing? Working from home, watching Netflix, reading, doing a lot of reading, making occasional supply runs, mowing the lawn, playing video games. I've been playing Mount and Blade, and somebody stole my castle. I'm very unhappy about that. And sitting outside, watching strangers go by and eyeing them suspiciously. You know, pretty much what I've been doing for the last 5 years or so. There's very little difference between retirement and pandemic. Okay, so let's do a book review. And I am getting to a book review, but it's going to be a little bit later on. First, I'm going to talk about Stephen King. Stephen King has, in my opinion, written one novel of sheer genius, at least for a horror novel. 3 other novels of pretty close to genius, and a whole lot of crap. Now, what is the genius novel? Well, it's Salem's Lot, which remains, in my opinion, the best modern adaptation of the vampire tale since Dracula. Why? Because there's an actual vampire in this story. I mean, a terrifying demon, horrible monster intent on destroying you. Not some sparkly, prepubescent, angst-ridden boy band member. Vampires are bad. And not in the cool sense of the word bad. I mean, they're bad. They're evil. I found Salem's Lot on a friend's bookshelf, 1977, 78, something like that, and I absolutely refused to go home until I had finished reading it. I mean, my wife nudging me going, dude, you know, we don't live here. I said, just a few more pages. So we got home after a couple of days. And blew me away because I had not read this good a horror novel in a long time. I think probably the last one before that was I Am Legend. This King guy, whoever this guy is, he seems to get it. He knows horror, which is that overwhelming sense of helplessness in the face of something unnatural, something that you've never encountered before and don't know how to deal with. You know, like a hate-filled, murderous demon who wants to drain you of your blood, who's 10 times stronger than you are, and just shrugs off bullets like they're nothing. Now, shortly after finishing Salem's Lot, I ran across The Stand. And that shortly after seeing the movie Carrie. And between those two, I said, man, this guy King, he really gets it. Although, felt like there was something a bit off about Carrie and The Stand. Now, Carrie was a damn good movie, but movie is movie and book is book, and never the twain shall meet. And I did not realize the differences between the book and the movie until I read the actual book sometime later. In my opinion, the movie was better, although the book was pretty good. Just not at that genius level, and it had those nascent elements of grossness that have come to dominate most of what King has written since. The Stand? It was great. Almost genius, but something again a bit off. The good versus evil theme felt more like a plot device employed by someone who really doesn't believe in good and evil, at least not the God and Satan type. Still, damn good book. Another damn good book, Dead Zone. Now, I have no idea why this book and the subsequent movie don't get more love. It was a fast-paced thriller, and yeah, okay, maybe the politician was a bit over the top, but that's not the point. This was King's great man theory. The idea that history will provide the right person at the right moment. And in the book, you have this flawed and fractured man who willingly sacrifices himself to stop a nuclear apocalypse. Great, near genius. And come on, the movie had Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken. What's not to like? Then, The Shining. Now everybody thinks because, you've got that here's Johnny moment in the movie that's the book. And no, Jack Nicholson's not in the book. You know who's in the book? A 5-year-old kid with the sensibilities of a 30-year-old and far too much maturity to be believable, and has this gift, the shinning, And I was stopped cold. No 5-year-old is going to act like this. I mean, they're just not. Yeah, and now I know a lot of people think this is one of King's masterpieces, but I think they're actually confusing the Stanley Kubrick movie with the book, because the book seems to be the beginning of the end of King's good writing phase. Because look what follows. Cujo, Pet Sematary, Thinner, that dreadful Peter Straub cooperation, The Talisman, The Tommyknockers, Dreamcatcher. Oh, good Lord. It. Oh, good Lord. Now, I saw It Part 1 and had the same reaction to the movie It Part 1 as I did to the first part of the novel It. Like, man, this is good. King is back. Then I read the second part of the novel, and what the hell? Which is why I have not seen It Part 2, because I just don't want to have the same reaction. Now, somewhere in all of this, I saw Misery, which, wow, great movie, and decided, hey, I got to read the book. And I did, and wow, great book, one of the near genius ones. And finally thought, okay, King's come back to writing again, because, man, Misery was horror. Not supernatural horror either. Maybe King's found his way back to us. No. Misery is a glaring exception. And all of the stuff that King was turning out during that period. And it's stuff. It's just dreck. Yes, that is exactly what it is. Seems to me that King has succumbed to his own success. He turned into a book factory, assured that everyone would buy everything that he wrote because he's Stephen King. And everything he writes must be good and must be horror, and no, it's not horror. Gross is not horror. Ick, that ick factor is not scary. It's revolting, it's disgusting, and that's not fear, that's not horror, that's sense of helplessness. And yeah, I get it, because gross is much easier to write than true pulse-pounding horror. The looks of a corpse, how it smells, takes you about a paragraph to describe, 3 or 4 if you're getting paid by the word. But describing the evil beast or demon or vampire that animates the corpse, well, that takes a bit more effort, a bit more setup. And when you've got deadlines and lunches and meetings in New York, you just phone it in. So what you're looking at is what happens when a writer forgets his calling and follows the checkbook, thinking that money is the sign of his ability and that everything your publisher tells you must be true. You become self-defining. You decide what is good, not the readers, because, I'm Stephen freaking King, Read me. So I mourned the passing of Stephen King, the guy who wrote Salem's Lot, the guy who really once cared about horror. And then I picked this up. Now, I'm not read up on the whole Dark Tower saga, what novel or novella was first or last, or in what order, what part of the story is supposed to go with what. And I didn't really know that much about it until the Idris Elba movie came out, and I went, hey, look, another Stephen King movie, surprise, surprise, what's this about? And that's when I happened to spot this with this Tor-like cover. And, you know, the movie looked interesting, and this looks kind of interesting, and, well, okay, let me read it just to see. And I was impressed, greatly impressed. Now, the first part of this book makes no sense at all. And in fact, I found myself rolling my eyes way back into my head because, oh my God, it's Randall Flagg and another guys. And oh, here we go again. And then I got to that marvelous middle section with the Falcon and the Gunslinger. And my God, it's marvelous. It's poetry. It's horror. King is back. Or maybe he never left. Maybe in all the checks that were coming his way, he became a voice crying in the wilderness, hoping that we would hear him. We did. Stephen King, come on back to us. We're over here. Old guy saying goodbye.